Planetside Arena was a missed opportunity. And no, I did not mix up my words there. It's a combination of buzzwords that will spark a flurry of frustration, anger, confusion within the Planetside community. The very failure of that game could very well be the reason as to why Planetside 2 is getting so much developer attention these days, respectively at least. But with there being no chance of a true quote-unquote Planetside 3 on the horizon, I can't help but wonder now, could have Arena been a successful entrance to the franchise, and if so, what good could it have done? G'day there once again viewers, your mate Kamikaze78 here, and today we're going to talk about how I truly believe Planetside Arena with a different approach could have been an amazing entrance to this series. If you look back to the reception of Planetside Arena upon its announcement, it was the Planetside 3 that allegedly no one wanted. A pseudo-sequel arena-style shooter based in the Planetside universe that took a huge turn away from the franchise's roots, focusing on your smaller-scale arena-style matches as opposed to the larger-scale combined arms warfare many had come to love. I still remember being there for the dev stream where they announced the title, and remember being critical of the announcement, but as I've come to think about the history of the franchise, how the community is split in the Planetside 2 world now, and what Planetside Arena was aiming to accomplish, in the long run at least conceptually, I want to posit a position that might see me cop some flack. Planetside Arena did not need to fail at all, and in fact, it could have made for an excellent addition to the Planetside ecosystem directly within Planetside 2 as it stands now, if it had been executed differently. I can see the dislikes coming at me, but please give me an opportunity to explain here. As we know, Planetside Arena as a concept aimed to bring instanced arena game modes to the Planetside universe. Things like Capture the Flag, TDM, Kill Count, Search and Destroy, etc. were among some of the game modes that were originally advertised as coming to the game over time. These are modes where competition and expressions of mechanical and physical skill would take priority above all else. A place where the more competitively minded first-person shooter player could enjoy a more stripped-back experience without having to worry about server politics, false multipliers, and population percentages. It's a side of the game and the wider experience that I myself have come to respect more and more over the years as I see myself getting better at that side of the game. It's not something that should be shunned as elitist or Bushido at all. The drive for competition and excelling at that competition is what keeps some players around in games in the first place, and that had every opportunity to exist within Arena. It had every opportunity to give players who wanted the more typical traditional even experience exactly what they wanted. No mech suits, no cloaking infiltrators, no vehicle spam, just Planetside's gunplay and Planetside's movement in an arena mode that you didn't need Jaeger server access for. So yeah, to the surprise of many, the concept of Arena is something I consider now to have been a huge opportunity for the franchise. However, the opportunity stops with the concept. The reality of the situation saw Planetside Arena launch as a Battle Royale title. Daybreak Games tried to compete in one of the hottest and most competitive markets at the time in gaming. And look, practically every franchise was getting into the BR space at the same time, so I wasn't surprised by the move, disappointed yes, but not surprised. What I was surprised with was the corresponding massive clash mode that would launch soon after. A game mode that aimed to compartmentalize the combined arms Planetside 2 experience into instanced rounds. So when you start making both huge deviations from the core of the franchise while still trying to shoehorn in experiences that already exist in quote-unquote still live and supported games, well, it makes sense that the core community of Planetside 2 saw Arena as a huge threat to Planetside 2's population and future development opportunities. For one, it was pretty clear that this was a title that looked to cash in on industry fads and hype waves at the time, primarily being stuff like the Battle Royale formats and the Battle Pass progression mechanics. Hell, even eventually decisions to go into a third-person perspective. We all knew Planetside wasn't a very lucrative franchise. A success here would have clearly pushed more development manpower towards the newer title, even at the sacrifice of what many in the community considered Planetside to be as a franchise. On top of that, even with the massive clash mode aiming to take your core Planetside experience and compartmentalize it, that showed signs of Daybreak Games aiming to try new ways to popularize and benefit off that larger scale gameplay, away from the existing Planetside game that was already out and starving for updates at a time. It was very clearly an attempt to sell that core player base on the newer game and leave the old one in the dust. And finally, Arena, being a completely separate game, relied on the support of the dedicated core community of the wider franchise to adopt it. It needed that community to adopt it. With the game headlining game modes that aim to sport 300 vs 300 players, you don't get that kind of game mode flowing in an instanced fashion without a massive player base. You need a core community to get the ball rolling there, and in order for that to happen, Planetside 2's player base needed to take a dive. So with the way Planetside Arena was being developed, marketed, and focused, yeah, it was a big threat to Planetside 2. There was an extreme amount of crossover, and for the two quote-unquote live service games that on the surface seemed to have the intention of coexisting with one another, there was a lot of infighting, and it was pretty clear that Arena needed the support of the core community to be successful. So the community voted with their wallets and crushed Arena to the point of failure. And given what the game was attempting to do on launch, I can't say I'm surprised by that end result. But despite all of that, I still believe that Planetside Arena could have well and truly been an amazing opportunity for the Planetside franchise to tap into new markets while still benefiting the existing community. Dare I even say that it could have benefited Planetside 2? How, I hear you asking? Well, what if? Just what if for a second we entertain the idea that Planetside Arena was a paid or even unpaid, funded by battle passes for example, expansion to Planetside 2. An additional branch of the game connected to the main world of Planetside 2 via the sanctuary that's in the game now. Say you just finished an alert, but had only another 15 minutes of game time under your belt. Why don't jump into a TDM or a capture the flag mode? Find yourself waiting in queue for the main continent that's 100 people long? Well, jump into a domination or search and destroy lobby and frag out for the meantime. Hell, just maybe you want to just enjoy the game without the vehicle spam and there's no good biolab fights on the continent of choice. Planetside Arena is your answer. Or should I say, Planetside 2 Arenas is your answer. This to me would have been the perfect integration for this concept into the Planetside franchise. A direct integration into Planetside 2 that allowed people to use their existing unlocks, cosmetics, and classes to frag out in a more competitive environment. For an even cleaner, more competitive environment, you could even change how infantry classes work to allow for an even more traditional environment. The point being, this could have been an excellent addition to the Planetside ecosystem that allows players more way to play the game, that better work with how they wish to play the game. Some of the most successful first-person shooter titles in our modern time understand that you need a wide variety of experiences available to captivate the most amount of players. There are, of course, outliers here. Indie titles like Squad, Hell Let Loose, Insurgency Sandstorm, World War III. All of these games do take active and deliberate design decisions that make the games less approachable to a wider market, and that's fine. These games have found dedicated player bases that know what to expect and accept the game as such. However, Planetside 2 is a game that is very much a sandbox environment. The game gives you and your fellow players a common objective to fight over, to drive combat, and a map which these objectives are placed on. That's it. The nature of how you make the experience your own is entirely up to you. Want to be a pilot only, a tanker only, an infantry main, a mix of all three? All are options to you. And a big challenge Planetside 2 has is mixing all these aspects of the game together in a meaningful and healthy way. It's a balance that, dare I say, the game still doesn't have a perfect grasp on. The quote-unquote sandbox environment also doesn't excuse clear balance issues that the game still faces, and there are still plenty of those that hurt the overall experience at times and definitely hurt new player retention. And more often than not, these play styles that don't always mesh together are going to cross over, and it's annoying to deal with. I'll be honest, there are days where I'll be stuck trying to get footage for a certain weapon review or a certain topic, and I get just slapped by air to ground or a max suit one too many times, and I would just think to myself, shit, I wish there was an arena mode I can go to get these last few clips. Arenas would give players a means to separate themselves from the chaotic nature of the core of the game and make a return to a more traditional environment just for a little bit, still enjoying the same old gunplay we all know and love. Hell, when I'm playing on Connery and the continent changes out and it's getting later in the night, the game dies off fast. And at that point, as opposed to having to worry about setting up spawns and risk having some guy who's just trying to complete his MBT directive come along and kill the only fight on the continent by killing that Sundera that I've placed, I'd rather have a small, dedicated PvP environment where action is consistent. It, at the end of the day, would have provided more ways to play the game alongside the main experience, and I don't think the concept of Arena needed to be this over-imposing threat to the core of the game that many know and love, and cannibalize the player base in turn. It could have been this additional subset of the core game that gave players a means to get more out of the Planetside title that they know and love. And to me, that's very important for Planetside to offer, because without a larger population playing the game, the very content for the game disappears. The content being your opponents, your teammates. Without the quote-unquote multi in multiplayer, this game stops being a game and instead becomes a virtual tour of 5 continents, I guess. This community sports a huge variety of players who all want different things for the game and ideas of what this game should be. Those ideologies don't always mesh, but without the population in this game and this extremely diverse community we simply have no game to enjoy. And offering multiple experiences that players have the option to enjoy goes a long way in making more players feel at home and gives more players the opportunity to feel like they can stick around and even cross-play between multiple experiences in the Planetside universe. Now, I get it, this very concept of integrating arenas into the core game also runs the risk of segmenting the player base of Planetside 2 on its own. And to a certain extent, it probably would. I'm sure many will say, just go play COD if you want this. And you know what? Once upon a time, I fell into that camp as well. But I have to say, ladies and gentlemen, Planetside can't afford this kind of mentality. Planetside's population has been stagnant when it comes to population for years, minus a couple of peak moments such as the escalation update. For me personally, having an aspect of the game that offers an experience that a player desires, keeping the player in question within the franchise as an active player, maybe even at some point a paying player, is much better for everyone involved. Planetside Arena, as a direct integration to Planetside 2, man, it would have been an answer to this problem, and it could have made the ecosystem of experiences available in this franchise just so much deeper. It could have offered a great opportunity for newer players to learn the game. At the end of the day, ladies and gentlemen, I truly believe that out there somewhere, in an alternate reality, Planetside Arena is a game, or should I say an extension of Planetside 2, that is working with the core game to provide a package of experiences that cater to a wide variety of players. Is this a pipe dream for us now, with how things have gone down? Of course it is. This whole concept of Planetside 2 getting an arenas subset of the game that adds an ecosystem of ways to play the game is just about as much a pipe dream as Planetside 3 ever coming out. But it's sometimes fun to fantasize about. Deeg and I reminisced about this concept quite a bit on his podcast a couple of weeks ago, which I highly recommend you check out if you haven't already. But we in particular poured out a glass for the Planetside Arena that was never able to be, and one that we kind of wish we'd gotten. If you hate the direction the Planetside Arena took back in the day, don't worry, I'm there with you. The third-person nature, the battle royale, the massive clash, it's all stuff that I thought just simply didn't need to exist. Today, I just wanted to romanticize a Planetside Arena that could have been a direct extension to Planetside 2, and hey, maybe have brought more players and a better ecosystem to the Planetside universe. If you have some thoughts on this, leave a comment down below, and if you haven't already, get subscribed so we can talk about this in a future live stream, including our 24-hour live stream that we're running a week from now. It would be great to see you guys in there and hanging out for future videos. As always, guys, if you enjoyed the video, be sure to backhand the like button. It goes a long way to supporting the channel. And you can find my social media links linked in the description down below, including stuff like my Instagram, where I post a bit of photography work. Once again, guys, I hope you enjoyed today's video. Peace out. I'll see you guys all in the next one. Take care, guys. Have a good one.